Over the next few minutes, I'm going to talk a little about Orkney, where it is, the nature of the islands and our community, and then I'm going to briefly speak about the role of planning in Orkney. I'll then go over some of the issues we face being situated at the northern periphery of Europe, and also how we're adapting to take advantage of opportunities as they present themselves. Finally, I'll touch on our vision for the future in Orkney. So, Orkney is an island group of just under 100 islands, 20 of which are inhabited. We're the first group that you reach when you leave the north coast, beyond John O'Groats. I suppose we're most well known for our rich archaeology and for Scapa Flow, Europe's largest natural harbour. We have around about 22,500 people living in Orkney, around about 11,500 households. We've got a very strong parish-based identity with scattered settlement pattern and rich agricultural land. The map on the right there shows the dispersal of our settlements. Generally speaking, each parish or inhabited island has at least one settlement, the majority of which are coastal, as you'd expect. There's a certain entrepreneurialism about island communities, and Orkney's adaptedness is exemplified through how it's successfully reacted to boom and bust industries in the past, such as exploration or trade through the Hudson Bay Company, kelp, herring fishing, and in more recent times, oil and gas, and latterly, renewables. I suppose one major difference between islands and communities and those on the mainland is the close physical and psychological links between the people and the sea. It impacts on our day-to-day lives, and we believe encourages a level of self-sufficiency not seen in many other places even to this day. As in the rest of Scotland, planning is a statutory function of the local authority. My team's responsible for the cyclical production and review of the Orkney Local Development Plan and its associated guidance. Being Scotland's smallest local authority can sometimes have its challenges when preparing statutory documents with limited staff. However, I'd say that the benefits far outweigh the constraints, and the small numbers of staff allow for strong partnership working that maybe aren't as easy in a larger authority. I'd be doing my team a disservice if I didn't just take this quick opportunity to acknowledge that Orkney Islands Council picked up the overall Scottish Award for Quality in Planning earlier this month, an award granted owing to the interdepartmental processes and cooperation to successfully regenerate our second largest town. This close partnership working within the council isn't limited to urban regeneration projects though, and our ties with colleagues in engineering services, the Harbours Authority and economic development allow us to successfully plan for resilience. In addition to the local development plan, we also recently worked with colleagues at Highland Council and Marine Scotland to prepare the pilot Pentland Firth and Orkney Waters Marine Spatial Plan, which currently informs decision-making in the marine environment whilst we move towards the production of a statutory regional marine plan. As planners, it's our primary objective to enable sustainable development opportunities in appropriate places, whilst effectively preserving important natural and cultural heritage assets. It's critical that applications for development are assessed in a consistent and transparent manner, and that our guidance is fit for purpose, according with national and local objectives and advice. We've therefore developed a suite of policies that apply to terrestrial and marine environment, which are integrated to ensure they're fully compatible in the intertidal zone and coastal zone. Whilst there's potential for development throughout Orkney, where there are particular specific locational requirements, we adopt a sequential approach to development where proposals are directed in the first instance to appropriate locations within our settlements, close to facilities and amenities. Orkney's largest settlement is Kirkwall, where most development takes place. The town's gradually expanded over the years from its Norse roots, both inland and out towards the sea through land reclamation. The red line on the first image shows the coastline in the 12th century, which traces the route of the current main street, with the other images showing the incremental expansion during the early 19th, later 19th centuries, and finally to modern Kirkwall as it looks today. Low-lying, flat reclaimed land is, as you'd imagine, susceptible to flood risk. Kirkwall's in danger of fluvial flooding and coastal inundation. In 2006, heavy rainfall coincided with high tides to cause widespread flooding in Kirkwall and beyond. The plan to the right shows the elements of Kirkwall at risk from coastal flooding, and the purple areas are our key brownfield redevelopment opportunities that it hasn't been possible in the past to develop until flood prevention measures were put in place. Throughout 2017, the Council's been constructing coastal defence measures in Kirkwall. The planning teams work closely with colleagues in engineering to ensure the physical works are not only functionally fit for purpose, but they're also sympathetic to the character and appearance of our conservation area in Kirkwall. Whilst the works won't fully resolve all of the flood issues, because the fluvial issues must be addressed in their own right, the steps taken will allow the redevelopment of over half of the brownfield sites I showed in the previous slide, providing comfort to businesses and residents in much of the town. The defences have been designed to SEPA's satisfaction, not only to address medium to high risk events, but also to account for overtopping and sea level rise that are predicted as a result of climate change. Another important element of our work is to ensure that there is planning policy support for the development of key strategic sites throughout Orkney. To that end, we've ensured adequate land allocations and guidance exists to give certainty to developers and to enable sound planning decisions to be made, taking into account known constraints and infrastructure requirements. Of particular importance in Orkney is the land in the vicinity of harbours and ports. We therefore regularly review our planning guidance for those areas and work closely with colleagues in marine services and economic development, not to mention industry representatives, to keep guidance relevant. Through the preparation of a three-ports master plan over recent years, a series of piers and harbour developments have taken place to ensure Orkney is well positioned to take advantage of opportunities relating to its emerging industries and to increase demand for Orkney as a tourist destination. Hatston in Kirkwall, following extension, now boasts Scotland's longest deep-water berth, and Orkney has become the UK's most visited cruise destination in terms of port calls. We've constructed brand new piers, such as at Copeland's Dock in Stromness, to service additional demand for berths and to unlock additional land for lay-down manufacture service of the renewables industry in the future. We're also aiming to ensure we can accommodate increased shipping in the future. It's the job of planning to make sure that proposed development is sustainable and that any proposals in response to immediate need don't undermine the long-time potential of strategic sites. There are two enterprise areas dedicated to the renewables industry in Orkney, adjacent to two of our most important harbours. Rather than place the burden solely on developers to establish the sites, Orkney Islands Council has been proactive in preparing them by constructing infrastructure and laydown areas. Within the Hatston Enterprise area, Highlands and Islands Enterprises also develop units for research and development. The development we see in Orkney is planned. It's the outcome of strong partnership working between council departments, between the council and external agencies, and through effective engagement with the industry and the public. I had intended to talk more about Renewables Initiative and Orkney's sustainable energy strategy, but these areas will be covered by Neil Commode this afternoon. Instead, I'll just leave some cryptic images, I suppose, to whet your appetite. I really can't recommend enough that you listen to the great work that the European Marine Energy Centre have been doing with others in Orkney later on today. What I will say is there's always more to do. We're currently working on a full ports and harbours master plan with our Harbour Authority. We're working towards preparing Orkney's first statutory regional marine plan. We're working harder than ever with engineers and SEPA to resolve issues with contaminated wartime sites to enable new scales of industry associated with decommissioning, for example. And we're working on a means to assess capacity for aquaculture sites in Scapa Flow with the increased demand for farmed fish. There are challenges working in planning in remote rural and island communities and in the New North. However, the socio-economic benefits and rewards for our communities can be great when we get it right. Thank you.